and it just slowly cooks the chicken and the spuds, and you get this lovely roast chicken and spuds with a smoky flavour from the charcoal. So it's like an all-year barbecue that you can use with a cover on it. It's not like a summer thing. You can use this in December, outdoors if you want. The thing is, they're incredibly expensive. They're like between $1,000 and $2,000, and I was like, fuck that, no way. So Big Egypt bought a really, really cheap one online, and then it arrived like smashed up, and the company I bought it from are really not wanting to give me a refund. Just again to big up the Dutch and to reinforce the case that they should be writing our driver theory test. Like, they're just expertly making an absolute gobshite out of me in perfect English, using immaculate bureaucracy and staying within EU law, while at the same time creating a situation where they keep my money and I don't send my Kamado barbecue back. But I'm not letting that happen. I'm going to be an awkward buy. So I've gotten to I'm at the passive aggressive state where under EU law I've gotten them to agree to give me a refund if I can send it back to them, but I don't have the original packaging. So now I'm wrapping a big Kamado oven in about 2 foot of bubble wrap and sending it back to them. And if it arrives in any way damaged, they don't have to give me a refund. So that's where I'm at with the fucking Kamado barbecue. However, when I told my story about my Kamado barbecue 2 weeks ago, I got contacted by a listener called Lewis over in the UK, and he has a small little company in the UK that make like outdoor grills and pizza ovens and Kamado barbecues. They're called freshgrills.co.uk. I'm giving them a little plug because they're a small business, and it was just really nice and really sound to reach out to me and try and help me out. And Lewis was like, we make Kamado barbecues, and they're really well made, and they're cheaper than the Dutch lads you went to. So I'm going to get my new Kamado barbecue that's of good quality from them. Freshgrills.co.uk. And hopefully Brexit and customs isn't going to be an issue, because I've had my heart broken several times this year because of that. I had spices. I ordered spices. Indian curry powders from England like 4 months ago, and they only arrived the other day wrapped in red tape that said opened by customs, because I'm assuming customs thought it was a lot of drugs. So Avril asks, what is the secret to happiness? There's no such thing as happiness. There's no such thing as happiness. There is, unfortunately, such thing as sadness. Now, I'll tell you what I mean by that. So, we tend to walk around life thinking, I will be happy when, I will be happy if. If only I wasn't in this job, I would be happy. If only I was in a different relationship, I would be happy. If only I lived in a different country, I would be happy. Now, that doesn't mean that improving your situation in each one of them circumstances isn't going to bring you out of unhappiness. But this idea that happiness is a state that we can reach, that's an illusion. That doesn't exist. There's no such thing as this long-term feeling of happiness. That doesn't actually exist. If you think back to your life, you've never had it. What you can have is meaning. And if you think back to a time in your life where you were like, wow, I was really happy then, I bet you weren't like fucking thrilled, happy, non-stop smile on your face 24/7. I bet you instead, when you think back to when you think you were happy, what you actually had was a sense of meaning and purpose. And within meaning and purpose, you still have the suffering of being alive. Within meaning and purpose, you're still disappointed, you're still frustrated, you're angry. But those negative emotions tend to exist for a reason, with a sense of purpose. They are the conflict in the journey that you have in a meaningful existence. Now, like I said, you can have genuine, sustained unhappiness. Unfortunately, that does exist. If you're really miserable and you're spending a huge amount of your day feeling upset about things that have happened in the past, or feeling worried or sad about things that might happen, if that's your life, then you're upset pretty much all the time. But when your life has meaning, if you're engaged in something that gives you a sense of purpose or meaning, then you're not wallowing in that sadness. You're not overthinking things that are outside of your control. And the past and the future are kind of outside of our control. So what I do is I don't say to myself, I would like to be happy. What I say to myself is, I would like to be in a position whereby whatever I'm doing in my life is giving me a sense of meaning and purpose. Right now, me personally, I have that because I have this job. I love making this podcast. I love the fact that I'm writing a new book. So what gives me personally, what gives me meaning is creating. I'm an artist at heart, so if I'm involved in creativity and my creativity is also how I earn a living, then that means I have meaning in my life. Does that mean that I'm happy all the time? No, it doesn't. I get angry, I get upset, I get frustrated, but I'm not excessively upset to the point that I'm wallowing and focusing on things that are outside of my control, such as the past and the future. So within that meaning, I do get moments of happiness. But there were times there over the fucking pandemic, especially when I wasn't able to exercise and the gyms were closed. There were times there where I was really struggling to find meaning. And then I was upset for a sustained period and my mental health took a hit. The other thing with happiness and meaning is that they're not destinations. They're not something you reach towards. There's something that happened along the way in the process. So they're very process based. So again, personally, writing a book gives me meaning and happiness. The process of doing it, the process of making that book, which can take a year or two, and within that process is frustration, disappointment, failure, all of this stuff. But the meaning that gives me, because it's purposeful meaning, I then get happiness in it. Finishing a book, getting to the end point, that doesn't give me happiness, that doesn't give me meaning, that actually gives me a little bit of anxiety. The meaning always happens in the process. And that's not just for me, that's whatever you do, whatever you identify as giving you meaning, the process tends to be where the fun happens, not the end result. We convince ourselves that happiness will happen at the end. No, it's process, it's day by day. So if you're searching for happiness, if you're like, I want to be happy, shift the goalposts a little bit. That happiness that you think you can get, that's an illusion, that doesn't exist. That doesn't exist. Try and find what gives you meaning. Are you someone who gets meaning from other people, from social interaction? Do you get meaning from animals, from creativity? Do you get meaning from sport? Do you get meaning from helping your community in some way? A lot of people will volunteer to help other people, and meaning comes from there. Try and find out what gives you a sense of meaning and purpose, and try and make your journey to be one that moves toward there, towards that place. And that there is happiness. And even still within that, you're still going to have disappointment, rejection, pain, fear. All these things will exist in there, but they can exist purposefully. But to exist without meaning means that you're experiencing excessive pain that has no purpose. And I can't tell you what gives you meaning. And some people still need to find what it is that gives them meaning. But meaning and purpose is unique to you. And if you're struggling to identify what is it that gives you a sense of purpose and meaning and fulfillment. If you're struggling to identify that within yourself, then ask yourself how much of your life depends upon needing the approval of other people. Is your sense of identity dependent upon how you would like other people to see you? And what's a quick way to find that out? How much of your day do you spend being jealous of other people, feeling like shit if you find out that someone you know is after getting or achieving something that you'd like? Maybe they get a job that you'd like, or they have some achievement that you'd like, and when they do this, you then feel like shit because of what someone else has achieved.